Hello AOS fans, Robin here, back once again with a deck review for you. And this week it's a variation on last week's. So last week I played Andrew's magic deck from the Eyes of the Nine, and I found it quite tricky to play with. I found particularly it relied too much on keeping Vortimus alive. Once you're into the second or third game, then your opponent can just hunt down Vortimus and pretty much stuff your plans. So I thought, well, I'd like to try Andrew's deck. It's an interesting idea. I don't want to write it off after only one play. What can I do to make it a little bit stronger? And the most obvious choice to me seemed to be to try and play it with the Cursebreakers. So that's what I've done. So I've tried to rewrite it. I've tried to keep the spirit of the deck, which is quite hard because once you start getting into the Cursebreakers, they haven't got the pace that the Eyes of the Nine have. They haven't got the range that the Eyes of the Nine have. So you do run into some problems with guards like Keep Chopping. I felt that was a bridge too far for the Cursebreakers. Maybe they could score it depending on what opponent they had. If you were playing a smaller warband opponent, I think it would be difficult to score. And of course, if you lose one of your fighters, then again it becomes hard to score. So Keep Chopping was one of the casualties. There's been a few other casualties, but as I say, I've tried to keep the spirit of the deck, and it's still heavily magic based. I just feel with 3 magic users in the warband, admittedly 2 of them only level 1, I think there's a really good chance that actually they could pull off the magical mastery side of things and cash in on some of these spell casting objectives. The Eyes of the Nine do have an extra 1 or 2, I think. I think they have a score immediately if you score 2 spells, and a score if you have cast 4 spells in a turn, which the Cursebreakers don't have access to. So that perhaps this is again in some respects is a slightly watered down version. Anyway, enough of my rambling. What have I got for you? Well, I have Escalation and Superior Tactician are fairly standard. May Superior Tactician burst its way into the deck because there's so many good score immediately cards for the Cursebreakers, such as Harness the Storm, which is a really great objective, very easy for them to score immediately. And then there's things like What Armor, and then Scorched Earth, and Sorcerer's Retort and Sorcerer's Scouring. Scouring should certainly be possible, Retort maybe less so. Scorched Earth, hopefully I can cast that with Abyssos's Withering. It'll be really good to cast. And then I've kept in Peerless Fighter, which is another score immediately. I don't necessarily expect to score this. Haven't got quite the number of dice, and I don't have Kacharik's amazing re-roll ability for scoring Peerless Fighter, which I think is really good for it. But I wanted to keep that in. I nearly took it out. I put it back in at the last minute because I just felt I wanted to keep that spirit of Andrew's deck, and that's why Peerless Fighter is in there. And then the other cards backing up around there, Magical Supremacy, which is casting 2 spells, which is a Cursebreaker specific card. I Keep Them Guessing in again, trying to keep that spirit of Andrew's deck. I left it in, I took it out and then I put it back in. I feel like these guys can score it. They've got their own card actions, and then you've got going on guard might be a valid thing to do. And obviously you've got your standard movements and attacks, and you've got some range to maybe get those things off. So that's why Keep Them Guessing has stayed in there. Magical Mastery's in there. That's if I score 6. Don't know if I'm ever going to do that, but it's going to give it one more go. And that's about it. I think just fired up. Just to back up, that's fairly simple to score for these guys. They're reasonably easy to inspire. So fired up is in there. Now moving on to the Gambits. These are pretty similar to the previous deck. I've gone for 28 again, using Jewel of Wits and Improvisation to cycle through. Wasn't overly convinced by that again, the Eyes of the Nine, but we'll see whether we have better luck with it. I think it's just a bit bad timing, maybe a little bit more inexperience with the mechanic. We'll see. Ready for action, because I think, again, as I said, for that deck, it's still a brilliant card for any deck. A Cursebreaker specific couple of spells here, Cry of Thunder and Gather the Storm, all with lightnings. Try to keep focus on the lightnings. Got Abyssos's Unmaking, Abyssos's Withering, all the lightnings, because I can get innate lightnings fairly easily on my guys. Determined Efforts remain in there. Rend the Earth, I think that's one I've brought in. Basically, all adjacent to the caster game will take 1 damage. I think it's not a bad spell, that one. 2 lightnings if I'm going to get an innate lightning on Stormsire. I reckon it'll be swamped depending on who Pete's playing, so Rend the Earth could be useful. Sorcerer's Riposte for getting those, and Soul Drain for getting those spell reactions in. And then Sphere of Gur at the end, again, plus 1 dice if that's successfully cast. So that's pretty good. I'll make there's 2 more at the bottom here I haven't included. The Sphere of Hish and Vital Surge, both carried over from the previous deck. And my upgrades, well, again, these aren't that different. I have put in Army of 1 because I feel that there's a good chance of Stormsire perhaps being left at the end, and Army of 1 very handy for attack and extra attack dice, extra spell dice. Cursed Artifact for some better defense. Acrobatic no longer any use to me for these guys. So great Fortitude, trying to beef them up. Eye of the Storm, this is the innate lightning card, and I've got the Blessing of Victrix for more innate lightning. There's also the Tome of Incantations for converting dice rolls to lightnings. Again, could be very useful. The Potion of Rage is in here for trying to help with Peerless Fighter. I put in Archer Focus to improve the range 3 or more attacks. You can reroll the dice again, helping towards getting Peerless Fighter. Maybe Lightning Whip to give Anis and Rastus a bit of a boost. I'm not always a fan of individual cards, but I've left that one in there for a bit of Cursebreaker flavour, and then extra plus damage on for Tempest Might on those spell attack actions. Fighter's Ferocity for critical hits. Again, if you're rolling lots of dice, then Fighter's Ferocity is pretty handy. Tome of Offerings. I think this is almost an auto-include because there's nearly every game, I don't think there may be some decks where not, but nearly every game at some point you're going to be doing some attacking. Pop Tome of Offerings on before you do it, and that's why extra 1 glory. There's a very few cards that have that good a success rate, so that's why Tome of Offerings is in there, and then the Tome of Vitality for some extra wounds as well. So that is my deck. Well, what do you think? Let me know. Will I have more success with this magical deck, or will it be less successful? Who knows? I think it's got a bit more backbone. I think it can work with, if the cards aren't working, I think maybe it can work a little bit better in my favour because I can just do some damage. It's going to depend a little bit on who Pete plays. I'm not sure who I want him to play. I think if he's playing sitting at the back, not engaging, it could be tricky. But similarly, if he's playing people who are good at combat, then it's going to be tough. And if he's playing an objective game, it's going to be tough because there's I've got no movement ploy cards, so you can't move him off his objective. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. And we'll wait and see. This is going to be like my second and possibly final attempt at a Magic deck. I'm not completely convinced by the mechanic after the last performance, and well, let's see whether this works. I think unless I have some success with it, I will probably give it up. But who knows? So until next time, I hope you're enjoying your Nightvault, and I will see you soon in the Mirrored City. Bye.